She dances in the air. She is the sword of the host, the spear that brings down the Lightbringer at the end of eternity, the beginning of time. The shroud falls away and the spotlight glares. A sword of light pins the woman in the circle of steel. Music rises, a recording of a choral piece, slow and mournful. Agnus Dei by Barber, a funeral lament for worlds. The hoop lowers towards the sage. She is the sword and the flame, the burning brand that guards the gates of paradise and denies it to the outcast humans. She lowers herself, hanging by one hand from the hoop, to touch the stage with her pointed toes. Face turned away, no one can see the agony of the touch. She pushes, slowly, spins the hoop, spins it faster. She is the fire and the brimstone, destroyer of cities, the power that leaves pillars of salt where the unwary look back. The hoop rises and she spins in the air, tethered between heaven and earth, between the ceiling and the sage. She is the reaper of innocence, every firstborn child of an entire nation. The circle spins lower as she angles her body and brings up her arm. She stretches one leg, the spotlight glitters on her costume, spangled reflections dance over the audience. Where the Crusades march, she leads the way, destroying the enemies of the host. Kill them all, the Lord will know his own. She straightens, spinning fast, and reaches up, both hands on the hoop as she arches her body, head back, holds herself in a perfect curve. So many deaths her hand guides every blow. Men, women, children, souls to fly, to be judged in eternity. She draws herself up to hang head down from the hoop and points her toe to the ceiling. Populations die, but what did they do except live their lives? She can see no difference from the perspective of eternity, from the view of the whole of time, between the Crusaders and their victims. She draws her legs down either side of the hoop, hanging in splits, head up, looking out into the darkened hall. She answers prayers, punishes sinners, destroys the evil at the behest of the prayerful, and yet... She raises her leg to hook over the hoop, and lowers her body down into a pose, stretches her arms, legs, as she spins. Seen from eternity, what good is achieved? Armies following the spell of a madman destroy many more than she ever has. Weapons more powerful than she has ever been force armies to stalemate with the threat of the end of the world. She goes on, up to grasp the hoop, balance her body on the slim ring, hold a pose within the spinning circle. A prayer to answer, a woman, a doctor, destroy this murderer who kills unborn children, and the prayer is answered. A patch of ice, a car crash, a ball of fire engulfs the sinner. Another to go to judgment, her task is done. Stretch out into another pose and sit up, perched, then lower herself down to hang within the circle, leg to the stage, leg behind her back, arms in the air. And from eternity she sees the life that she has ended. The children raised to be kind, the husband loved, the patients comforted. The fearful women abused or poor, the choices given, the lives preserved to make other choices. A person who has done good all her life until a prayer was answered. A slow dance within the hoop, moving from pose to pose, balance perfect, perch precarious. She flies from the vision, eternally present into time. Embodied she walked, and the ground tore at her feet. Wings dragged behind her, dragged her down, useless to fly in the air of the earth. She draws herself up to the top of the hoop, grasping the cable as the music swells, the elegy for the composer's lost love. The vision followed her, a flaw in the perfect blade, innocence lost. She could never return to the host. To strike again as she had done would destroy her, had destroyed her. Languid dance on her perch, arms stretched, her balance held by the legs, grasp of the hoop below her. The call to return was irresistible, tearing at her the way the ground tore at her feet, the air at her wings, the guilt at her spirit. She had not disobeyed, but she could not obey ever again. And down into the hoop again, a series of poses more difficult, more dangerous, chest resting on the steel as she stretches her limbs. She searched for a shelter, a place away from the sight of the host, out of sound of their call, among the fallen, the ones she once punished and threw down. And drops. To hang draped, boneless in the circle, she closes her arms about herself and then lets them fall. A space in time, but not of it. A place of visions where one of the illusions is hope. A woman, sardonic, who offered a bargain, shelter at a price. She accepted. And then up again, balance stretched on the hoop, arms out in the only flying pose she will ever attain. They grabbed her arms and he lent his weight on her. The searing pain of her feet on the ground, the tearing saw, the woman's razor smile and hysterical laughter, the man's fierce glower and bruising grasp, her wings fell to the floor. She dances in the air, the only eternity she can achieve now, the dance. The dance ended, and the hoop rose back into the eaves of the stage. The spotlight faded as it went, and she lowered her head.